Hi makers! This is a tutorial on how to do the blanket stitch on fur. This is another option of how to seam your fur together. We're going to be seaming the center seam here. So just as always, we start by matching our edges and making sure to get all of that excess pile out of the way. Now, just as we would as if we were doing a whip stitch, we're going to take our needle and put it in through the back and through both layers of fabric. The blanket stitch is a great alternative to the whip stitch. It's a stronger, more secure alternative to the whip stitch. So you can substitute this anytime we put in our kits a whip stitch. So just as before, you're going to take that stitch, but now you're going to make a loop. See that loop of thread? You're going to take your needle and you're going to put it through that loop of thread. This is what causes the thread to sort of lock into place and make it a little more secure. So again, we're going to take another stitch, just like a whip stitch, except instead of pulling it all the way through, you're going to put your needle through that loop and then pull it through. So again, back to front through both layers and then needle back through that loop. Creates a nice stitch line right across the top edge there. Make sure that you're keeping your pile out of the way, you're keeping your seam allowances narrow, and your stitches even. Speed this up a little bit so you can see the finished product. As we work along, we want to make sure that we're keeping that edge nice and flat. We want to pull these stitches very tight as we work. The tighter you pull them, the more sturdy and more locked each stitch will be. Obviously, make sure that you're not distorting the edge of your fabric, but do pull them nice and tight. And when we get to the bottom here, and even so every so often as you're stitching, it's often a good idea to put your needle back through in that exact same stitch hole that you just stitched. This creates an extra lock, and it's a great way to make sure that your stitching stays nice and tight, especially on edges that are going to receive a lot of stress. So you're going to tie off your thread, as always. And then when you flip to the front, you can see that seam is pretty much invisible. Fur is a magical thing in that way. And that's your blanket stitch.